Alrighty, so another day of World Cup action is in the books, and today we saw our first team that is moving on into the knockout stage, and we'll mention exactly which team that is. But we didn't have anyone that got eliminated after today, and we certainly did not have any nil-nil draws in this day of World Cup group stage action, which I think that's a first because there's just been so many nil-nil draws. They mentioned, I think in this game between Argentina and Mexico that there were like I think 5 nil-nil draws already in this group stage, and that's a lot considering the fact that I think we only had like one in the 2018 World Cup, and that again I wonder a lot of that has to do with the fact that maybe things are a little bit more tightened up, or the fact that it's a situation where a lot of these teams maybe haven't really have as much preparation coming into this. I mean, there are some teams that they haven't really played a lot of friendly leading up to this World Cup, so there are teams that just kind of thrust right into the action, and maybe there's kind of some disconnection in terms of the attacking play for some of these games that kind of ended scoreless, or maybe it's just the way how maybe teams are start thinking about where they don't want to take too much risk after the first game of the match day, so that's why we go in a scoreless draw, which maybe is a sense that we might not see as many nil-nil draws going forward, because as we head into match day 2, and especially heading into the biggest match day of the group stage, match day 3, we're going to see teams that are desperate in terms of getting all 3 points, or even getting a result in their pivotal group stage match. But that being said, let us actually get into the first game. And the first game is between Tunisia versus Australia. And what a win this was for Australia. I mean, coming into this one, knowing the fact that they are on 0 points. Like, anytime when you lose your opening match, you have to win your next game. And that this was probably the biggest chance that Australia can get a win in their group. And they did exactly that in this one against Tunisia. Now, early on, there was really not much happening early in this one, but there was definitely, once again, a lot of Tunisia fans. They were making their presence shown. I mean, I mentioned before that Tunisia certainly have one of the best fan base so far in this World Cup. They were making a lot of noises throughout this game. There was a shout for a penalty for Tunisia that was not given. Get used to me kind of, well, actually I didn't put it too much on the board, but there was a lot of times where there was shouts for a penalty, especially from the Tunisian fans, and some that I would even say that there really isn't much into it, and yet they still shout for a penalty. I guess maybe that they're that desperate in terms of the fact that they want to get themselves an equalizer, because as I mentioned, they were down for a lot part of this, and on the attacking front they were definitely not as good as they did in the last game against Denmark. Dragger then blasted wide from long range in the 21st minute, as that was Tunisia's first chance. And then in Australia, first chance, they score. It's Mitchell Duke, the ones that scored the opening goal for the Socceroos to make it 1-0 in favor of Australia. And that really silenced the 90% majority of Tunisia fans in the stadium. I mean, the stadium was absolutely rocking in the beginning. But with that goal, I mean, there really was some Socceroo fans that was enjoyed, but after that, for about 5 minutes, you can definitely hear a pin drop in the stadium, because of the fact that Tunisia fans saw their team down 1-0, and they were making as much noises after that. Dragger then tried to get the equalizer for Tunisia, but his shot is deflected and goes wide. Courage then puts it way wide from long range before Moschini would pulls it just hide on the header. And one interesting fact about, as the halftime whistle was blown, and actually they mentioned this as at the beginning of the second half, is that this is the first time that Australia has had a lead at halftime in a World Cup. And I know Australia has not done very well in the World Cup. I mean, after this win, this is only their 3rd win in their World Cup history, but the fact that this is the first time they let in the World Cup at halftime, that's kind of a little bit surprising. But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting to see whether they can hold on into that lead in the second half, because we know that Tunisia was going to try to go on the attack and desperately to try to get that second goal, right? Well, at least in theory that was the case, because there was another shout for a penalty in the beginning of the second half in the 51st minute from Tunisia that was not given. Goodwin then puts a dangerous cross that no Aussie player was able to met to the end of it. But again, Australia, I thought they continued to look better, look like the better side in Tunisia. Again, going forward on the attack, they look very stagnant, and in some way, I think they kind of at times overplaying it a little bit. They're trying to make that perfect pass to get themselves in a perfect opportunity, and it just doesn't work out for them. Lecky then tried to ice it for the Socceroos, but he just could not quite stab one in the 70th minute. Then Ryan denied Miskini from close range before Miskini would puts one right to Ryan just a minute later. And again, Tunisia finally started to show some life on the attack. Now, can they get the equalizer, and can they have that sustained pressure? Well, the answer is no, because after that, Moy puts it high from long range, and as the time winds down, even though Australia was dropping their lines deeper, they were inviting Tunisia to get or had allow Tunisia to have all the ball and try to get the equalizer. Tunisia would never able to do so, because after Talbi would puts one right to Ryan, that was really the last good opportunity that Tunisia has in this game, as in the end it ends with Australia getting a massive 1-0 win over Tunisia. As the shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 9 that Australia has, 2 shots on goal compared to 4 that Tunisia has, 5 shots off target compared to 4 that Tunisia has, 2 shots out of block compared to 6 that Tunisia has, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Australia has. And now they sit in a pretty good spot, in a way that in the next game when they play against Denmark, they know that is an opportunity where if they can, just get a result in that game, and they're moving on into the knockout round. But for Tunisia, yeah, this is definitely not the result that they're looking for. In fact, this may be the result that kind of eliminate their chances of moving on. I mean, I know they're mathematically not eliminated, but they're about to play their toughest opponent in France in the next match. And even though I know France maybe don't have anything to play for, because spoiler alert, they of course move on into the group. I'm pretty sure France want to get that top spot, and know that in that game France is going to be heavy favorite, especially with the way how they look so far in this tournament. So yeah, for Tunisia, this was really a game that they had to win, because it's probably the easiest opponent they face. They don't do that, and not only that, they take a loss and now are facing a huge mountain heading into the final day against France in their group. But that being said, moving on in the next match, we got Poland versus Saudi Arabia, and this was also another one of those kind of World Cup game that we've seen a couple of times where the better team were unable to get the victory, and in fact came out on the losing side, because I thought Saudi Arabia played well in this one. In fact, they really outplayed Poland for most part of this game. But how many times when we talk about how when you're not able to be clinical in front of goal and the other team is able to do so, yeah, it kind of explains why you ends up on the losing side, despite the fact that you're the better team. Though early on, they were definitely in control of this game early with the possession. Alberich would had a long range effort that goes high in the 8th minute before Szczesny did deny Canoe from close range. And again, Saudi Arabia, it feels like they're still feeling in form after that big upset against Argentina. Like that momentum that they had in that game, it can definitely felt strong in this one, because they were really putting Poland a lot of pressure early in this one. But as for Poland, like I said, it was a very slow start for them, and then you can see there started to be some frustration with those players too, because they started to commit some rough challenge and really kind of pick up some needless yellow card. And when you do that, yeah, that's not a great thing to do, and that's not going to help your causes in terms of trying to snap out of it. But in the 26th minute, Bitlik did had a header that was clear off the line by Al Shari, so that was the first big opportunity for Poland. But then in the 39th minute, they got the opening goal. It's Zielinski that scores from Lewandowski to make it 1-0 in favor of Poland. In fact, I think I spelled Zielinski name wrong here. Forgot the K here next to the S and I. Yeah, so yeah, Zielinski scores the first goal for Poland, not only in this game, but in this World Cup tournament, from Lewandowski to give the Poles a 1-0 lead, though that lead looked like it was going to be short-lived because a penalty was given to Saudi Arabia after VAR deemed that Bilic chopped down Al Shiri in the box, and rightfully so. I mean, he clearly clipped him there in the box. So, yeah, here comes Saudi Arabia, a chance to get themselves back to level pegging. But Szczęsny said no, because he denied Al Dawazi from the spot, though the rebound did fall kindly to Al Barek, who tried to clean up the penalty miss. But Szczęsny, again, was not having any of it. He denied him there with an incredible double save there to keep Poland leading 1-0, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, Saudi Arabia continued to be on the front foot, and again, I don't like how the Poles were approaching the second half, because you know that you're already second best in this game, and you're probably a little bit lucky the fact that you're 1-0 up. You shouldn't be just sitting back and trying to absorb all the pressure in the world, because Saudi Arabia is going to really go for it. They were very fearless in this one, especially in the second half. Al Dawaziri would blast it high from long range. Before there was another shout for a penalty for Saudi Arabia, but it wasn't given. But before anyone has even finished in terms of claiming that it should be a penalty, this one actually falls to the feet of Al Dawaziri, which Szczęsny again denying him there. I mean, Wojciech Szczęsny had a really good game in this one, and he was probably one of the bigger reasons why Poland was able to get all 3 points in this one. And again, here he denied Al Dawaziri from the doorstep of goal, and on the follow-up, Al Maki would puts one into the stands. The Saudis fans were in full voice, and I talk about the Tunisian fans, certainly one of the best supporters in this World Cup, making a lot of noises. The same goes with the Saudi fans, and again, it makes sense because Qatar is border, or Saudi Arabia is border next to Qatar, so you're going to get a lot of Saudi Arabia fans, and it's pretty much like a home game for Saudi Arabia. I mean, they were in full voice. They're trying to will their team to get themselves the equalizer. Albrecht would then puts it wide on the near post before Canoe would skies one from 10 yards out. The shots were 11-2 in favor of Saudi Arabia. Like, Saudi Arabia was just out shooting Poland in this one, but the scoreboard still says 1-0 in favor of Poland. And then they had a couple of chances to make it 2-0. Milik had a free header from 10 yards out, but he was victimized by the post there. Before 2 minutes later, it's Lewandowski's turn to be victimized by the post, as this time he hits the post as he was trying to tap this one in from close range. And all of a sudden, despite onslaught pressure from Saudi Arabia, it looked like Poland came within a post twice to double their lead in this one. Al Dawaziri then hits one right to Szczęsny in the 69th minute, and you just kind of wonder, is this one of these days for Saudi Arabia where, we've seen when teams have so many chances and they're unable to put away, whether the opposition goalkeeper was on his game or the fact that they were just very poor in terms of finishing. I think it was a combination of both of that for Saudi Arabia. You just wonder, is this going to be, it's just not going to be there for Saudi Arabia. Al Maki would then pulls it just wide from close range before, in the 82nd minute, this pretty much was the dagger in the Saudi Arabia hearts, as Lewandowski would get on the score sheet for the first time in this World Cup, and how much that means to him, because all the world and weight is in his shoulder coming into this game for the Polish star man, and he gets a goal here, though he kind of want to thank the Saudi Arabia backline for giving him his first World Cup goal, because this was just a gift from that backline for Saudi Arabia. I think one of their defender got pickpocketed by Lewandowski, and Lewandowski was in on goal, and he's not going to miss that from close range. And in the 90th minute, he actually had a chance to score his second goal as he looked to try to make it 3-0 in favor of Poland, and he was actually clean on goal there. But Al Owasi, who in the hero of Saudi Arabia in the last game, who made a lot of save, he didn't really make too much save in this one, but he did in this one, denying Lewandowski in the 90th minute. But in the end, Poland, despite the fact that they were second best in this one, they were able to get a 2-0 win over Saudi Arabia. And the shots in this one, 16 shots committed, 9 that Poland has, 5 shots on goal committed, 3 that Poland has, 4 shots off target committed, 8 that Saudi Arabia has, 3 shots that was blocked committed, 2 that Poland has, and possession-wise, Saudi Arabia dominate the possession, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that Poland has in this game. And that, yeah, for Saudi Arabia, this has to be very frustrating resort because, the performance that they played, they definitely deserve at least a point out of this game. But as the old saying goes, when you don't put your chances away, you are basically going to come back to haunt or it's going to come back to haunt you with the way that if the opposition were more clinical, they're going to win the game, and that's exactly what Poland was in this one. But for the Polish, again, this is a huge because any time when you aren't able to win in the first match, it's important that you, of course, do it in the second, and especially knowing they have that showdown against Argentina looming, you just feel like they need to have this 3 points in this one, and they got that exactly. And it's going to be interesting to see in that showdown against Argentina, who of course is going to move on into the knockout round, because I know for a fact that final group stage game between those two teams, one of them is going to make it and one of them is going to not make it. But now, moving on in terms of the next match, well, as I mentioned before, one team that is moving on into the next round, and is the first team to do so, is France. They were able to get a 2-1 win against Denmark in this one, and also with the way that the French is now moving on into the next round, the knockout stage, they become the first defending champion of the World Cup since Brazil, all the way back in 2006, to able to move on into the knockout stage. I think Brazil went all the way to the semi-final in that World Cup in Germany, and see how far France could be in. And knowing the performance that they put in the first two games, something tells me they could definitely go far, because in this game against Denmark, a team that they struggle in Nations League, they I will say that Denmark in this one, especially in the second half, grew into it, and they kind of had the momentum even when they got the equalizer. But France just too overpower, and that guy called Kylian Mbappe, yeah, it turns out he actually is a very good player. But in the first half, just like the last game against Australia, it was kind of interesting to see the French just happy to sit back and let their opposition have the possession, almost kind of just giving their opposition a little bit of a false hope, thinking that, yeah, they're probably going to pull off the upset. But in the 13th minute, Varane had a header that was clear off the line from the corner. Then in the 19th minute, the French want a red card on Andreas Christensen, because it looked like when Mbappe was through on goal there and Christensen bombed down, that's a denial of goal score opportunity. But the ref didn't see it that way. In fact, he pointed out to the French player there was two different defender in the vicinity, and I think in the end it was the right call. Yes, I mean, Mbappe looked like he was clean on goal, but with those two defenders, I mean, it's kind of a judgment call, but I think you could say that maybe they could have got back in time, though, knowing the pace of Mbappe, and that, the last thing I'm pretty sure the Danish fans want to see is Mbappe go one-on-one in goal, because that's game over pretty much whenever Mbappe does it. That maybe that won't be the case, but nevertheless, no red card was given, a yellow card was given there instead. Though Schmeichel did deny Rabiot on the header, and slowly, here comes the French. Like, they started to pile on the pressure on this Danish team. They were looking to try to get the opening goal. Schmeichel would then deny Griezmann in the near post, and Schmeichel, very good game in this one, and he had to be when you're playing against a team like France. Cornelius then had Denmark's first opportunity, but he puts it wide from a tight angle before Giroud would head it wide from close in the 37th minute, and we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams, despite France had a couple of good looks of getting the opening goal of this game. Now in the second half, Schmeichel would then deny Mbappe from 17 yards out before Griezmann would put it high from 12 yards out as the French continued to dominate. Shots were now 14-2 in favor of France, and eventually they break through. In the 61st minute, it's that man, Kylian Mbappe, scoring from Theo Hernandez to give France a 1-0 lead. That lead would not last long, because in the 68th minute, Andrea Christensen would score from Anderson to tie the game up at 1 apiece. That was a powerful header there from Christensen there to tie the game up. And then Lloris had to deny Lindstrom from close range, and all of a sudden the momentum was with the Danes. Like, they looked like they were trying to get the lead for the very first time, but the French quickly shut down that momentum, because in the 78th minute, after Many heads it wide off of a deflection. Rabiot had a chance with an acrobatic shot in the back post, almost trying to do a Richarlison here, but he missed that one wide. Though on the other end, Braithwaite would slice it wide in the back post, and you just kind of had a sense that maybe this game is up for grabs. Like both of these teams could definitely get the 3 points in this one, and who is going to get it? Turns out it's the French. As in the 86 minutes, it's that man again, Kylian Mbappe, scoring from Griezmann to make it 2-1 in favor of France and retake the lead for them. I swear, if Mbappe continue to score, and if this team does go to a deep run, or even once again win the World Cup for the second tournament in a row, I'm pretty sure Mbappe is definitely going to get votes in terms of the best player in this tournament, because he's been at times unplayable so far in this tournament. And he tried to go for the hat trick in the first minute of stoppage time, but he hits it straight to Schmeichel. And yeah, in the end, France with a 2-1 win against Denmark. As the shots in this one, 21 shots committed, 10 that Denmark had, 2 shots on goal for the 7 that France had. Both teams had 6 shots off target, 8 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Denmark has. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that France has in this game. And I'll tell you what, France, they look very dangerous right now. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of team that is going to be able to stop them if they continue to play like this, and that we'll see whether that is going to continue. But you know, for Denmark, yes, it is a frustrating loss, but it's not the end of the world for them, because you know they just need to of course regroup, and that now I believe they play Australia in the next game, and that again, that as I mentioned before, that could be a big game for both of these teams, and that one of those teams probably is not going to move on into the next round. But now, moving on in terms of the next match. Speaking of a team that potentially is not going to move on into the next round, Mexico, they're in deep trouble. I mean, this was a game. Now, I knew that coming into this game, they were going to be up against it, and they're probably going to be facing against a very angry Argentina side that took the shock loss against Saudi Arabia, and also maybe a desperate Argentina side to get that need to get the win to get themselves back on track. But still, you just kind of had a feeling that, you know, maybe they can do it, especially with the first half performance in that they had against Argentina, where I thought they neutralized Argentina in the first half. And they had a chance in the 10th minute when Montes would put it wide from long range, and that you know, despite the fact that it was kind of a scrappy game, it was kind of also a little bit of a physical game. There was a lot of physical tackle that was committed by both of these teams. But like I said, you know, Mexico really controlled the game. But the only problem for them, and this was the issue in the last game too, and really the issue coming into this tournament, is the fact that they just don't have that number 9 player, or that target man player that can of course able to play to them, and they would expect to score the goal. So in other words, they don't have a goal scored on this team, and that as a result, you know, it was a lot left to be desired every time when they go for it on the attack. In fact, the shots were only 1-0 in favor of Mexico. This was definitely one of the more kind of boring World Cup game that you see. I mean, in terms of tactic wise, I think it would have been a good game to watch. But if you want some action and you want some entertaining soccer, this definitely was not the case, especially how the first half went. Though in the 35th minute, there was almost a big mistake from Memo Ochoa, and I can't believe I'm using mistake and Memo Ochoa in the same sentence. But here, he almost committed a bit of a mistake after he punched a Messi free kick straight up into the air. And anytime when you're a goalkeeper, you punch the ball straight up in the air in the 6-yard box, oh boy, you are in deep trouble, because you don't know if you can, of course, able to get there first. But fortunately, he doesn't need to find out, because as soon as that ball landed near the ground, the referee blew the whistle, because there was just everybody trying to get that one, as that one was popped up in the air. Martinez then had Argentina's first shot, but he missed that one wide before he had another opportunity. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. This is the goalkeeper, Martinez, denying Vega from the free kick in the 45th minute, and that was a strong hand there from the goalkeeper Martinez, because Vega really hit this one well on the free kick, and somehow not only Martinez is able to save it, but he actually kept that one on in his hands there. And yeah, we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. A first half that I'm pretty sure would put a lot of people to snooze after how it was being played. But I promise you, in the second half, things kind of got a little bit more interesting, because Argentina realized that, yeah, their World Cup hopes are in the balance. Like, they better wake up, because if they lose this game, they are eliminated from the tournament. And if that is the case, that would definitely be probably the most stunning moment for a team that we thought that they were going to be going all the way to the World Cup. And then also we found out that, Lionel Messi, this is his last World Cup, and that that he probably knows that if they lose this game, they're going to be eliminated, and that he'll not be. That will be this could be the last time we'll see him in a World Cup. Yeah, he was making sure that was not the case, because after he puts a free kick high from 23 yards out, he would score in the 63rd minute, as he scored here from Di Maria to make it 1-0 in favor of Argentina. It's a beautiful goal there from Messi. There, strike that one on the left foot from about 20 yards out. I mean, anytime when you give Messi a good look from 20 yards out, and especially when he is able to get on that left foot, game over. I mean, that's in the back of the net pretty much 99 out of 100 times. But in the 70th minute, Molina tried to double the lead for Argentina, but he puts that one high, and it's just been all Argentina in the second half. Like, Mexico, they looked like they were down and out, and I think multiple times that Stu Holden mentioned in the broadcast, the fact that Mexico kind of decided to play it safe, and that, again, I don't get why exactly they need to do that, because they play well in the first half, and I get it. Yes, you maybe want to play a little bit safe, because if you can get a point out of this game, they definitely fancy their chances to get all three against Saudi Arabia. But you have Argentina pinned deep. You had them where you wanted. So why all of a sudden did they decided to play very conservatively? And I think Argentina realized that, and they kind of amped up the pressure a little bit, and the Mexicans just kind of got completely overwhelmed because of it. In fact, as the time winds down, Argentina, they look like they were in cruise control. Like, Mexico, they just cannot not get anything going. They didn't show any resistance in terms of trying to get the equalizer. And in the 87th minute, Argentina would put this game out of reach, as Enzo Fernandez makes sure that this game is ice, as he scored from Messi to make it 2-0 in favor of Argentina. If you thought Messi goal was impressive, watch this goal by Enzo Fernandez. I mean, the fact that he was able to hit this one from a bit of a tight angle from 20 yards out, and just pretty much rip this one to the top right corner. Yeah, that is a world of beauty there, or a shot of beauty there from Enzo Fernandez. And yeah, like I said, that pretty much put all doubt in mind, as in the end, Argentina got a much needed 2-0 win in this one against Mexico. And the shots in this one, 5 shots compared to 4 that Mexico has, 1 shot on goal for the 2 that Argentina has, 2 shots off target for the 3 that Argentina has, no shots on block for the 1 that Mexico has, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Mexico has in this game. And overall for Argentina, this not only was a big victory in this one, but it's a victory that they had, because again, if they lose this game, their World Cup hopes were done. And even though the jobs is not done yet, because they need to keep this momentum going to play against Poland in the next match, they got a shot. And that was something that it looked like, at least in the first half, that was started to fade away. But speaking of things that is fading away, that's Mexico's hope in the World Cup is started to fade away. And again, I knew that coming into this tournament, this maybe is the weakest Mexican team we've seen in the past couple of tournaments. But even then, I didn't think that they were going to look this bad, especially in the second half, where they just completely got laid over for like that. I mean, again, those Mexican fans, they have every right to be angry, and I know Tata Martino most likely is not going to come back with this team, but it's got to be very, very frustrating if you're a Mexican fans. The fact that, yeah, I mean, all the hype surround the fact that they can maybe do something, even if they don't put out a very good, decent team, and now they could be facing themselves getting eliminated in the group stage match for the first time since 1978. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at these 4 games that happened in today's knockout stage. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games, as tomorrow we got another 4 games to look at, another 4 games that we might have teams that either is moving on into the next round, or they're going to be eliminated from the World Cup. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.